Rebecca, from a state level, are there any initiatives going on that address this or any creative ideas you have?
Well, the one thing, being a representative, I have to tell you what pride I have in this community. And we talk about innovators, and you cannot find a better role model than Warsaw for innovators. When you think about Zimmer having started here, Depew, Paragon, Instrumed, the list goes on. And then from that, all the little companies that are feeders into that. We are the innovators. And what is concerning me is that we're not going to have the capability to continue that. In the OrthoWorks, we knew that math and science is an important part of this community because that's the job market that we're in. That's the industry. That we continue really putting the emphasis on those two things because we want to continue that innovation. And I'm not going to be surprised if I don't get a round of applause for this, but the best thing that we can do as legislators is just get out of the way. And in terms of the business, but in terms of business, which has really been my focus at the legislature, is remove constraints, federal constraints on the orthopedic industries, keep them here and not drive them out of the state, out of the country. And we've got to work on deregulating, just let them do their job, let them continue to hire the people in this community. And I think as a legislator, that's the best thing I can do is to foster that hands-off mentality that we need to adopt in the legislature.
Thank you. Rocky, from a public safety standpoint or a crime awareness or those sorts of avenues, what's getting your wheels turning?
I think we have several things that go on to communicate with the young people of the county. We're in with each one of the school systems. We have internships that we let them come in and work in the jail with our people. We actually train them and let them run the controls center. Actually, we don't let them handle prisoners or anything like that. But they see the day-to-day operation, and a lot of them come back for jobs, and they come back. We train them what we want them. And we've hired several Tippy Valley students to be jailers as soon as they were out of high school. In fact, we waited for one in particular until he had graduated. And when he graduated, we opened that position up, and then he was successful in obtaining that position. We have several Warsaw High School students that have done that, and Wawasee High School students have done that. So we try to work with the schools of having those initiatives. The other thing is we try to get into the schools at a very young age with the DARE program. You'll read statistics that'll tell you that a lot of communities are doing away with DARE because they tell you it's not working. But I guess my pet peeve, if we can save one, then it's worth doing. And it's about relationships that they're making with law enforcement. It brings them back, and they see policemen in a different light than, boy, I'm in trouble now. And so that creates that bond with us. And then we're in with each one of the school systems with a resource officer. You know, we have one in Wawasee, we have one in Tippy Valley, Warsaw PD has one in Warsaw, which work hand in hand. And the relationships, it's incredible the relationships that you can create with young people and say, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. What do we need to do? And so I think those things we're trying to initiate with our young people, and the safety goes along with that. But on top of that, I really have pushed our guys to get involved in other programs that are out there. Some of us, athletics is our thing. So we help coach junior high athletic teams here. And that's important just to coach football. It's about teaching them work ethic, what's right, what's wrong, making the correct decisions. And not to pack, I think it really does work because in the 7th grade football season, this is the first year that we've never ever had anybody ineligible. We told them that if you're having problems, that we go to homework clubs, do that, and come here later. And it seemed to be an incredible help in that situation. But on top of all that, We have a bunch of officers that says you've got to get out to these schools. You've got to go to these Pee Wee football. Let them see you in another role besides we're in trouble.
Proactive policing is what it sounds like. Building relationships, helping young people see that they may have a viable career in law enforcement. That's great. Now, Mayor, you live and breathe this stuff. I mean, your work is all about getting the message of Kosciuszko County out to visitors so that they might choose to bring their meetings or their conventions or even their recreational dollars into our county. How does this spin toward the residents?
You know, it's very similar. Basically the same reasons people come to visit Kosciuszko County, the same reasons you live in Kosciuszko County. It's the same reason Caleb said the Village of Winona is a fit for me. It's the more we have for visitors, the more we have for residents and vice versa. I guess my take on this would be, Kevin mentioned it, Caleb mentioned it, is we can all do something to help call out keeping that from happening by being a mentor ourselves. I had one myself. I told you I took the job at the chamber and then decided, you know, get a real job later. Well, one of the executive directors there convinced me that this was a real job. This was a career. I was good at it. I should do it, and this is what I should keep doing. If that person hadn't given me that, I don't know what I would be doing now. And I don't think I'd be quite as happy as I am. So keep in mind, we can all do that and help keep those people here.
That's a great point. You know, we talk a lot about programs and policies, but it really does come down to individual relationships and the decision whether you're a school counselor or an employer or whoever you are to say, hey, I believe in you. You have a future here. And keep at it. Don't give up. You have something to give back. I think that's a great message. Susie, from a foundation standpoint, what's going on to address this?
I got a whole list. Okay, first of all, I want to echo what Mary said about mentorship, and I want to challenge everybody in the audience. In 1970, if you look at the 40 developmental assets, in 1970, a kid in high school had more than 7 adults that knew what that kid was doing, cared about what that kid was doing, and held that kid accountable.
Bridges.
Today,
Bridges.
that number, according to the Lutheran Health Network that puts together this 40 developmental asset, that number of adults is 1. Yeah, what's wrong? What's wrong with us? What are we doing? Families. How many people today said, I'm here because my family? How can we as a community help create stronger families? How can we, the key to economic prosperity for our community is going to be learning. And that doesn't mean a 4-year degree. That means learning how to be a good parent, learning that kids read at appropriate age levels, learning about your options when you're in middle school about future career opportunities, learning when you're a graduating senior, what career path do I need to take? Is it appropriate to invest $80,000 in a career that is going to pay me less than $20,000 a year? So one of the things the Community Foundation is doing is that we have helped fund a tool for Kosciuszko County families called College Cost Estimator. It is a web-based platform that helps guide families in that decision-making process about where my kid is going to go to college, how much it's going to cost, what opportunities are at that college. And on January 11th, is that right, Rick?
Correct.
January 11th at the PAC, we're going to host an event for families in Kosciuszko County to view a webinar on how to access that website and gather that information. Another thing we're doing, last year we partnered with an organization called Cuesta Foundation. It is a foundation that does scholarship loan programs. Well, the Community Foundation makes direct scholarships to students who are going off to college. Cuesta is doing a loan program where students may get loan forgiveness for certain results. So if they graduate with a certain GPA, a portion of their loan can be forgiven. If they graduate from a partnering college in this region, a portion of their loan can be forgiven. And if they come and stay and work in the region for a period of time, their loan will be forgiven. So they can end up having a $20,000 loan over a 4-year period of college and only having to pay $5,000 of that back.
It's amazing. All right, so you've heard from many different kinds of community leaders. You've heard their stories. You've heard about initiatives that are going on. Now it's going to be your turn. And I'm going to throw something at our panelists. They didn't know they were going to do this, but we fed them breakfast, so we're going to get some work out of it. I'm going to ask them to scatter and to kind of mix amongst you. There are 10 of them, and so I'd like to form about 10 different discussion groups out in the audience over the next 15 or 20 minutes. And what I'd like you to focus on, and I'm going to ask our panelists to kind of kick this off, what are the obstacles we've heard about today to making it possible for young people to learn and then earn right here in our county? What are some of those obstacles? And then secondly, what are the opportunities? What are the opportunities we have as a community to address this, make a difference, whether it's small, one-on-one mentoring kinds of arrangements, or it's large policy or program initiatives? This is just pie in the sky day, blue sky thinking. So those are the two things I would like our panelists to kind of kick off. What are the obstacles? What are the opportunities? We're going to spend a little time just in small groups talking about that, and then we'll come back and we'll open forum, and I'll ask the chamber staff to jot some of these ideas down, and this will become, hopefully, fodder for future discussions as we look at this as a community.